This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon of First, our top stories. VOP monitors live as court delivers judgment in Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Federal government blames US for surge in kidnap activities. Senator Maidaki reveals authorities have a fair idea where Kebbi kidnapped students are. NARD faults Labour Ministry's claim it addressed 19 out of 20 demands. Malala Fund announces $1.7 million Girls Education Fresh investment in Nigeria. On a foreign scene, Donald Trump signs bill requiring Epstein files release. And in sport, Hakimi and Chebak beat Osimhen and Ajibade to 2025 CAF Awards. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. First on the news, after several years of standing trial on terrorism allegations, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, will know his fate today as the court delivers its judgment on the case right about now. Kanu's trial has been one of Nigeria's most talked about legal battles in recent years. He was first arrested in 2015 and charged with treasonable felony and terrorism, but the case has since taken numerous turns. In 2017, Kanu fled the country while out on bail following a military operation at his residence during the time of Operation Python Dance in the southeast. In June 2021, he was arrested in Kenya under contentious circumstances and brought back to Nigeria, a move his legal team and IPOB proscribed and described as an extraordinary rendition. Upon his return, the charges were expanded to 15 counts, including terrorism and incitement to violence. Kanu's defense has repeatedly challenged the trial's legitimacy. They argue the fundamental legal and procedural errors, including possible violations of international extradition law and jurisdictional rules, undermine the prosecution's case. Meanwhile, there was mild drama as trial justice James Motosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered security agents to bundle Kanu out of the courtroom after he insisted the judgment would not be delivered in the terrorism charge the federal government entered against him. VOP 90.3 FM is monitoring the court proceedings live and will keep you updated on the judgment. The federal government on Wednesday blamed the renewed terror attacks, including the abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi and the assault on worshippers in Iruku, Kwara State, on recent remarks by the United States as public anger over the incident spread nationwide. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, said Trump's post alleging Christian genocide in Nigeria and threatening to deploy U.S. troops had inadvertently emboldened opportunist violent groups now seeking to justify attacks on soft targets. Addressing the evolution of violence, extremism, banditry, and ongoing security challenges in the country, the SGF added before these statements, insurgency structures had been significantly degraded and reduced to isolated banditry. He said this resurgence underscores the vital need for collaboration, not public labeling, between Nigeria and the United States. Trump had, in a series of posts on X between October 30 and November 1, 2025, designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern over allegations of a Christian genocide. The U.S. president warned that he might deploy American forces to Nigeria if the alleged killings of Christians did not stop. He said he had directed what he called the Department of War to prepare for possible action should the violence persist. Trump also threatened to suspend all U.S. assistance to Nigeria if President Bola Tinubu's administration failed to address the alleged persecution. The lawmaker representing Kebbi South, Senator Garba Maidoki, is optimistic of an early release and return of schoolgirls abducted in the state. Maidoki spoke on Wednesday when he was featuring on a television political show days after gunmen abducted about 25 students from the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. Maidoki said on the show, quote, "We have a fair idea where the girls are, and we're sure they have not moved outside the Kebbi South Senatorial District," end of quote. The incident happened on Monday, leading to the death of the vice principal who attempted to stop the gunmen from abducting the student. Since the attack, the federal government has ordered security agencies to rescue the girls. On Wednesday, Vice President Kashim Shettima visited the community as directed by President Bola Tinubu. Shettima re-echoed Tinubu's priority of the girls' safe return and lauded security agencies for their efforts so far. The VP had lamented at the Ahmadu Bello International Airport alongside the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, Nentawe Yilwatda, and other members of his entourage earlier in the day. He described the incident as unfortunate, said the federal government will do everything possible to ensure the safe return of the students. The Forum of Southern and Middle Belt leaders have condemned the acts of banditry and terrorism inflicted on Nigerians and security operatives in Borno, Kebbi, Kaduna, and Kwara State within the last few days, and called on government at all levels to rise up to the disturbing challenge. The regional leaders specifically lamented the killing of Brigadier General Uba Musa by Islamic State West African Province ISWAP terrorists in an ambush on Sunday in Damboa, Borno State. Abduction of 25 schoolgirls in Kebbi State on Monday, and killing and abduction of worshippers at Christ Apostolic Church CAC in Eruku, Kwara State on Tuesday. They also raised concern over the political trajectory of the ruling party and leaders in their effort at making the country a one-party state. According to the leaders of the SMBLF, this action of the current leadership is threatening democracy. Reading the communique after a meeting of the leaders forum on Wednesday in Abuja was His Royal Majesty Oba Oladipo Olaitan on behalf of the group. The National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, on Thursday refuted claims by the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment that a high percentage of its demands have been met. NARD described the claims as not only inaccurate but a deliberate attempt to mislead the Nigerian public and undermine the legitimate struggle of its members. There was a report on Wednesday that the Ministry of Labour and Employment announced that the federal government had addressed 19 out of the 20 demands listed by NARD. The ministry listed some of the issues resolved to include the 25% and 35% upward review of the consolidated medical salary structure and the 2024 accoutrement allowances of the association, adding that the integrated payroll and personal information system shows payment has started up to December 2024. The NARD strike, which began on November 1 in an industrial action, is an industrial action by resident doctors over unmet demands regarding salaries, allowances, welfare, and working conditions in Nigeria's healthcare sector. However, in a statement, NARD noted that its extraordinary National Executive Council meeting had reviewed the government's position and found that, contrary to the ministry's claims, not a single one of its 19 core demands has been fully or verifiably met. NARD also emphasized that its demands remain unchanged. The Malala Fund says it has approved $1.7 million in new funding for 9 Nigerian organizations to reduce the country's high number of out-of-school girls. The 9 groups selected for the $1.7 million allocation include the Aid for Rural Education Access Initiative and Anti-Sexual Violence Lead Support Initiative. Others are Black Girls Dream Initiative, Budget Foundation for the Promotion of Information in Nigeria, Center for Advocacy, Transparency and Accountability Initiative, Isa Wale Empowerment Initiative, Participatory Communication for Gender Development Initiative, Teenage Education and Empowerment Network, and Women, Girls, Youth, Health and Education Initiative. The latest investment forms part of a wider $4.8 million package for 21 organizations across Brazil, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Tanzania. A statement by the organization said the intervention aligns with its 2025 to 2030 strategy and focuses on regions with the highest levels of girls missing out on formal education. The fund stated that its strategy directs resources to countries with the greatest need and explained that 66% of the grant would support young women-led organizations, describing it as more than triple its initial targets. Co-founder Malala Yousafzai said the Nigeria-focused funding is intended to help married girls and young mothers return to school and complete secondary education. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, we head into the news analysis segment. You're still on to the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Joining me to help analyze our news items is Ezekiel Oguntuashe. He's a legal practitioner and current affairs analyst. Barrister Oguntuashe, thank you very much for joining us on the news at 12. Barrister Oguntuashe, can you hear me?
The line is faint, I couldn't hear you very well.
Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
I'm not at all, not really. I'm like the.
Okay.
When you call me some days ago.
Give us a moment. Okay, let's see.
Studio, what was that?
Is it better now?
Hello?
Is it better now?
Hello?
Give us a moment. Let's try to re-establish connection, please. Can you hear me clearly now?
What's happening to network today? The line is cracking and it's not audible.
Oh God. Hello? Is it okay now?
Hello, Solomon. Hello?
Is it better now? Hello, sir. Yeah, there are some things you can't say about the legal proceedings, obviously, but you can still say some basic things without having to violate court proceedings, right?
Yes, definitely yes.
Okay, so talk to us. What do you think now? These court proceedings is coming at a time where there are some Nigerians questioning the legitimacy of Nnamdi Kanu's terrorism charges. When you consider that some Nigerians are saying there are some people that are known to finance terrorism in Nigeria. Also, there's a lot of whataboutism going on like Sheikh Gumi, for example, who is known to be a middleman and intermediary between government and bandits, and he still works freely. And it's also coming at a time when Nigerians have been having national discourse about a list that's been in the hands of the federal government since the last dispensation, and now, and some Nigerians think the federal government is targeting the wrong person for terrorism, charges. What do you think about all this? What do you make of all this?
First and foremost, let me talk about the trial of Nnamdi Kanu had issue from beginning. I as somebody, from there are different sections of the stages of the trials that you tend to disagree with. At the same time, you tend to agree with. You try to blame the prosecution. At the same time, you have to, as far as defense is concerned, I think the personality of Nnamdi Kanu now, everything in totality cannot be one-sided when it talks about the role played by the two parties, the prosecution and the defense, the defendant. I mean, Nnamdi Kanu in this scenario. Let me say that the extradition from Kenya, though it didn't follow due procedure, but it was an attempt to bring to book an offender who is on bail, that's on the run, and how to get him back is the federal government think it doesn't matter, but it actually matter when you talk about the laws of extradition. You cannot just kidnap somebody and say you extradited him. Now, on one part, that is one side. The second side, on the other way around, the trial from beginning. This matter is not just coming up. It has gone to the apex court, the Court of Appeal, and it the Supreme Court. Before the Supreme, of course, at the Court of Appeal, the 15-count charge was nullified. That is, it was discharged and acquitted before the prosecution had to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court that referred the case back to the present court of the Federal High Court. Now, Nnamdi Kanu went ahead to hire lawyers in the person of I think Abiodun Jimi or SAN. I think a very senior lawyer of that matter. Now, where Nnamdi Kanu actually, with due respect to his personality, where he actually got it wrong is by saying that he does not need a lawyer. When you say you don't, in the case of treasonous felony, whereby the punishment could be life imprisonment or even death sentence or stuff like that, you need a legal representation, so to speak. So for him not to come out to say you don't need any defendant, you don't need any representation as far as the service of a lawyer is concerned, it was a shot in the leg. You say you want to perform the role of a legal practitioner in a criminal matter. No, it doesn't go that way.
But he has the right to defend himself if he wants to.
Of course, the right to defend himself does not say that you can stand in that place and perform the duty of a lawyer. You have the right to defend yourself means by law, by procedure. The right to defend yourself means hiring the services of a legal practitioner. By law, in a criminal matter, every defendant has the right of representation. That is the defense that law is saying. He is not saying that you as a person who has not studied law, you can stand. There is no way you are going to have the competence of a legal practice to challenge the office of the Attorney General that is prosecuting you. You get where I'm coming from now?
I do.
So when we now go ahead to when you have been given opportunity or different adjournment, 1, 2, 3 adjournment. You didn't present yourself. You see, hold on to the fact that you want to represent yourself. You asked a very, very important question. That what did I see about the whole proceeding? It is not also right for a defendant to look at the face of a judge in the hallowed chambers and begin to call him names, to begin to call her names. You know, that is not part of our practice as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Now, sorry to stop you. Now, don't you think? I mean, let's take a look at the emotional side of it. Having talked to some psychologists, having talked to some security experts and some other current affairs analysts, some people have been wondering what the mental states he will be. I mean, he's been in solitary confinement where he's been deprived of lots of basic human things, even as someone awaiting trial. I mean, he's not been convicted yet. Even if he has, there's still some basic rights given to every human being, whether you're in incarceration or you're free. And according to lots of information, he's been denied of a lot of those basic rights, including even medical attention. Someone in that state, I mean, don't you think there's a lot of psychological, without lack of better words, psychological somersault going on? There is frustration. So in he's desperate. Without frustration, without desperation, you can do a lot of things you normally wouldn't do. Don't you think there's a psychological side to it as well, besides the legal things going on?
Solomon, the opinions of psychologists of that is not law. They're talking about legal institutions now.
Does it matter? Does it matter though? Does it matter though in a life and death situation? Because this can a little also be understood to be a life and death situation. His life is on the line here.
You see that he's being denied of some basic right. I don't know the right of basic right you're talking about, because the basic right is the medical attention. If he's asking the court that he wants to seek medical attention abroad, you are by law, even if it's not Nnamdi Kanu, by law, once you have been granted bail in your trial and you jump the bail, the court will be skeptical about such kind of a recognition being given to you to go and seek medical attention abroad. If that is the definition of medical attention, he has not been denied of any basic right. His doctors are having access to him. And I've never heard of before. And he doesn't have doctors having access to him. Everything he has, everything about medical attention, about food, about all this, he has access to them. Nnamdi Kanu cannot come out except the one he feel. You get what I'm saying? Except the one he feel he should have access to. No, that is why it is detention. You can't dictate to government how, or the prosecution or the court, how you feel you should be given medical attention abroad.
Now, but one thing is for sure, though, these cases have had lots of twists and turns. There have been accusations and counter accusations from the prosecution and the defense. You and I, you will testify that you would know that these cases have not exactly taken, have not exactly followed a procedure. There've been a lot of laws and breaking of laws, both on the prosecution side and both on the defense side, and it's not exactly following a straight and narrow road, so we can't exactly use a straight and narrow eye to look at the situation. Didn't you think so? Sorry, there've also been some conflicting judgment where on several times, the federal government have been told that there is no case, but instead of the federal government to release him, they've not released him, and these are one of so many other things that have gone on.
Of course, in the trajectory of his trials, I have followed it. There are conflict judgment to release him, but the maximum supervisor of the judiciary, the Supreme Court. If I were Nnamdi Kanu as a person, I would have exhausted all the remedies. I would have exhausted everything that is pertaining to me by saying the only legal somersault in which he made is by saying that at this stage of the trial, that he doesn't need a counsel. That is an error. He actually needed a lawyer. He could have extended to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court. Was it not the same Court of Appeal that discharged him? Was it not if he's now saying that he doesn't have trust in the same court? Was it not the same court that discharged him of all those count charges before the prosecution went to the Supreme Court?
And then what happened to those those charges that were dismissed and the federal government still refused to release him anyway?
No, let's get this incorrectly. Don't let us miss something. Don't let us miss the information, Solomon. The Court of Appeal discharged him of 50-count charge. The prosecution went to the Supreme Court. Are you with me? The Supreme Court held that they made the case to revert back to the Federal High Court for a fresh trial. That's a court judgment. There's nothing conflicting on that one. Are you with me?
I'm with you. Go ahead.
There was nothing conflicting on that. The Federal High Court convicted him as an issue. He had the right of appeal. He went to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal discharged him and by acquitting him of all those 50-count charge. The prosecution did not rest. The prosecution took it to the Supreme Court. It was the Supreme Court that returned it back to the Federal High Court. That is the position. Do you understand that part? So there was no conflicting judgment about that one. So if I were him, when the case was developed back to the Federal High Court, he should have used his own lawyer by relying on those court judgments of the Court of Appeal and go again. It is possible. The Court of Appeal can again discharge him if the case is coming up before them.
Some may say it's easier said than done when we're not in the same situation, and we can't exactly predict our mental health and mental state at that time. There's been a lot going on. It's enough to break someone.
No, maybe there are some things that you are privy to as a journalist that is on the field that I'm not privy to. What is happening to his mental health, please? Or maybe if you can, of course,
have you ever talked to someone in solitary confinement? It's a lot. It's enough to break someone, and that's the state we keep hearing on our report that he's been in solitary confinement. Yeah, and we've also heard we've also heard report from his lawyers where he has to fight. So I mean, he's been arrested a few times himself. I was in the lawyer before he was let go, where he had to fight on several times before he's been granted access to Nnamdi Kanu. He's come out to say it several times that most times he's requested to see his lawyer, to see his client, and whoever is in charge of his custody at that time refused to grant him that access. I'm sure if you were his lawyer, you would have been frustrated too, and you can imagine the frustration on him, to the person whose life is on the line at that time.
His last counsel was Jimmy has never said he had no access to him. That one resigned. That one left him because he felt that, okay, as far as my client, you have to listen to me. And if you are not listening to me as your lawyer, then the best thing is for me to recuse myself. So we cannot use that one to be in a ramification to determine his mental state. The lawyer left not because of anything of any prosecution or any DSS or any people holding him. The lawyer, we all saw the letter the lawyer wrote to him in the media now.
But anyway, there have been lots of conspiracy theory. Of course, as a journalist, we can't exactly we need to be very sure of what we put out there, so it's not really been verified. But of course, there've been conflicting reports and conspiracy theory of even why that lawyer left him. But we're not here to peddle conspiracy theory anyway. But the point is, I mean, these case it's never been as straightforward as it's supposed to be, and because of situations like there will tend to be so many gray areas that we can count, and both from the prosecution side and the defense side. Don't you agree? I mean, you're probably talking as a straight court lawyer, as a black and white lawyer. But this Nnamdi Kanu situation has been way more gray than any other thing.
Does it mean that? Let's ask a question. Like, let me ask you the way. Does it suffice that all his lawyers have been very bad? All his lawyers have been bad. If they are forced, his lawyers were frustrated by the prosecution.
No, Nnamdi Kanu himself has not even come out to say anything bad about his lawyers.
No, the lawyers left. Why should the question to ask ourselves is this? The question I'm asking is this: the lawyers that left him, that says, the when he said that he has no, he doesn't want to defend himself anymore, or he doesn't want any lawyer anymore. Is it that the federal government forced those lawyers out of it, or he is the person that said he doesn't need them anymore? Let's get that straight away.
And that's the point. There's no straight answer to that.
No, there's a straight answer to it. He is the one that said that the lawyer. He's in the news. He is in the news that, of course, there is no way a lawyer properly called to bar will say, all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I am no more representing a particular client because I am being frustrated by prosecution. These are the things out there. We are lawyers. No lawyer does that. You and prosecution have to slug it out. It's very easy in the news. Nnamdi Kanu said he doesn't need any lawyer. He will defend himself. There is no propaganda there. There is no deceit there. It's in the news.
Anyway, VOP 90.3 FM is monitoring the court proceeding live, and will continue to update you on the judgment. Now, let's move over to other topic where the federal government has blamed the renewed terror attacks, including the abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi and assault on worshippers in Kwara State 2 days ago, on recent remarks by the United States. What do you think of that blame game now? I mean, these insecurities have been going on in Nigeria for years, and they do come in waves. And there are times where it looks as if the insecurity, never stopped, but it reduces, and it comes to a time where it surges. And the U.S. president's remark and the recent designation of Nigeria comes at a time where insecurity surged. But here the federal government is blaming the surge on the U.S. redesignation. What do you think about that?
When the federal government is serious to fight terrorism and stop all these blame games, then we know that we are ready. You know, it is very unfortunate that this is coming from the Secretary of the Federation and the person of the former governor of Benue State, Mr. George Akume, by saying that the new attack is because of the U.S. government tagging Nigeria of a country of particular concern. I'm not seeing the correlation. Does it suffice that before that Nigeria is being labeled as country of particular concern? It suffices that there has not been continuous attacks, even in his own state, even in Plateau, even in Kaduna. No, that's propaganda. That's blackmail on the part of the Nigerian government against the U.S. government. Does it suffice that if U.S. government has not spoken, does it stop the terrorists from attacking? No, it doesn't. It is when Nigerian government is serious to fight these people. That is where we are. Over the years, what we have seen so far, you imagine a government that want to fight terrorism, and you are labeling some people repentant terrorists, and you are integrating them to the society, to the Nigerian army, or to every other agency, and you are saying that you are having a meeting between terrorists and government in the person of Gumi as an intermediary. See, Solomon, Nigerian government is not yet ready. Over the years, they are not serious. What the U.S. government is asking for, it's not difficult. All they did was to come out and say, oh, they want to come and take over our government with the in Libya. No! What they are saying is that let's join you people. Let's fight these terrorists. But no, it's very obvious that the stakes of some people are high. And the higher the better we know that the take of Nigeria, of U.S. government that is a genocide against Christians, the better. Because how do you categorize what happened in Kwara State 2 or 3 days ago? where some people enter into church and kill people and kidnap by 35. How do we even realize that, oh, okay, right there in Kebbi State, oh, on the other way around in Kebbi State, some girls were kidnapped right in their school and the vice principal was killed. Does it mean that they have not been kidnapped before? It is when the US government raised alarm that the kidnap continue. These are all the black. You saw. I believe that as journalists, you watched what's his name? The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Tuga.
Yes.
Disappointing show on the world television. No, that was not up to them. You now came out to say, oh, okay, only 122 people have been killed so far. How can one be untruthful? You even had Gumi saying that the Christians in the middle belt of Nigeria are burying empty coffins. Solomon, how do you rationalize that? How do we even categorize that? Nigerian government is not serious. When they are serious to fight terrorism, we will know. Look at what happened to that general. A general was killed in battle like that. I'm very sure there are some people, instead of Nigerian government to blame some people who are sponsoring these people. Let's ask questions. Does it mean that over the years they don't know their sponsors? Nigerian government does not have the intelligence gathering to identify their sponsors. Or Nigerian government does not know that there are moles in the Nigerian army. The killing of that general about 4 or 5 days ago shows that there are moles in the Nigerian army giving information to terrorists.
And these are the situations where Nigerians are divided in the way the government is fighting terrorism, and that is where, despite the it still brings us back to the Nnamdi Kanu situation, where some Nigerians are saying, well, there are certain people, certain tribe in the part of in Nigeria that are receiving special treatments compared to certain parts of Nigeria, and that's where the whataboutism, rightly or wrongly, is coming, into this Nnamdi Kanu situation. But anyway, let's not go back to the Nnamdi Kanu situation. Meanwhile, the lawyer representing Kebbi South, Senator Garba Maidoki, has said that the authorities have a fair idea where the girls, talking about the girls that were kidnapped, the 25 students from Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. This lawmaker, this senator, said the authorities have a fair idea where the girls are. He's saying that they are sure they have not moved outside Kebbi South Senatorial District. And the question is, how big is Kebbi South Senatorial District that after more than 48 hours, these girls have still not been found?
These are the things I was telling you. First and foremost, the truth of the matter is that as far as Nigeria is concerned, there are people that are powerful. There are some tribes that are who for political reasons, when the presidencies cannot touch. We also, under Buhari government, how Miletiala was ravaging Benue State, and they came out boldly and they take responsibility for the killings. What happened to them? The government that is selective in their fight. You will go to the enclaves of IPO, and you say you smoke them out. You say you kill them. You say you arrested them. Then when it comes to terrorists killing people in the north, then they are untouchable. Now on the issue of those girls that are still within Kebbi State, I told you before, it is when Nigerian government is ready to fight terrorism. When a serious government wants to go into action, they will. But Nigerian government, the way we do things in this country, life is no more even circumstance. That is what you see. Because just like you said, how big is Kebbi State up till now?
It's not even the whole of Kebbi State. This is Kebbi South Senatorial District, and you can imagine.
How do you even recognize a president that even when less than 24 hours of that kidnap, or less than 24 hours of the killing in Kwara State, he said he's having a conference or whatever in South Africa and Angola. How do you see? Nigeria is beyond me. The thing that happened in this country, the leadership, proactive leadership, it is unfathomable, Solomon. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much, Barrister Oguntu Ashe. I wish we can talk more, but unfortunately we have to go. Thank you very much for your time.
It's all right. It's a pleasure.
That was Ezekiel Oguntu Ashe, a legal practitioner and a current affairs analyst, talking to us on the news at 12. And for a quick look at what's happening outside Nigeria, Donald Trump signs into law on Wednesday legislation requiring the release of government records on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, spurring a showdown over whether the U.S. president will allow full disclosure or return to trying to bury the case. Trump stormed Washington over the weekend, reversing his months-long opposition to the Epstein File Transparency Act and ensuring that it sailed through Congress on Tuesday in a rare show of bipartisan unity. The Republican president, a former friend of the late sex offender, announced on social media late Wednesday that he had signed a bill forging and foregoing any media spectacle of the event. Insiders warn that even with the president's signature, his administration could lean on redactions, procedural delays, or lingering federal investigations to keep explosive details out of the public eye. Epstein, a wealthy financier, moved in elite circles for years, cultivating close ties with business tycoons, politicians, academics, and celebrities to whom he was accused of trafficking girls and young women for sex. Trump and his allies spent years pushing theories about powerful Democrats being protected over involvement in Epstein, framing the case as a potent symbol of how powerful men can hide behind lawyers, money, and connections. But Trump himself was a long-time associate of Epstein, raising questions over what he knew about the notorious figure. Still on foreign news, South African police and army units have held a parade involving helicopters and officers on motorcycles in a show of force in advance of expected demonstrations around the Group of 20 World Leaders Summit in Johannesburg this weekend. The military flex on Wednesday came as authorities bolstered security by adding 3,500 police officers and placing the army on standby under the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure, a unified command that coordinates the country's police, military, and intelligence agencies for high-profile events. Deputy National Commissioner of Policing, Lieutenant General Tabelo Mosikile, told reporters that authorities were expecting protests in Johannesburg and other big South African cities. South African police said they have designated specific areas of protesters to gather near the summit venue, an exhibition center next to the country's biggest football stadium. The two-day summit opens on Sunday and is expected to attract leaders and top diplomats from more than 40 countries, as well as global institutions like the United Nations, but the United States is boycotting. And now to sports news. Morocco captain Achraf Hakimi won the Africa Men's Player of the Year award on Wednesday, capping a season in which he lifted the UEFA Champions League with his club Paris Saint-Germain (PSG). The 27-year-old also won a fourth League One title last season and claimed the French Cup and UEFA Super Cup. However, PSG came up short in the final of the Club World Cup as Hakimi was forced to settle for a runners-up medal in New York. The right-back beat out two past winners in Liverpool's Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah and Nigeria striker Victor Osimhen to claim the prize for the first time in his career. Hakimi is currently nursing a severely sprained ankle, but if fit, will lead host Morocco in the Africa Cup of Nations from December 21 as they seek to win the competition for the first time since 1976. Morocco's Jolaine Chebak claimed the prize for the best women's player on the continent, beating out fellow countrywoman Sana Musude and Nigerian Rashidat Ajibade. The Al Hilal attacker was the leading scorer in the Africa Women's Cup of Nations this year, although her side went down to Nigeria in the decider. Cape Verde boss Bubista was awarded Men's Coach of the Year after leading the nation with a population of 525,000 to a place at the 2026 World Cup. Nigerian shot-stopper Chiamaka Nadozie won her third consecutive Women's Goalkeeper of the Year award. And that's the news, but just before we go here again, all the top stories. VOP monitors live as court delivers judgment in Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Federal government blames US for surge in kidnap activities in the country. Senator Maidoki reveals authorities have fair idea where Kebbi kidnapped schoolgirls are. NARD Fourth Labour Ministries claims it addressed 19 out of the 20 demands. Malala Fund announces $1.7 million Girls Education Fresh investment in Nigeria. Outside Nigeria, Donald Trump signs a bill requiring Epstein files release. And in sport, Hakimi and Chebak beat Osimhen and Ajibade to 2025 CAF Awards. And that's the world. This is our 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon of FM. Do follow our social media handles at VUP 903 FM and subscribe to our YouTube channel at VUP 903 FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. And tune in, keep tuning in to VOP 90.3 FM at 1:30 on the show Matters. We'll continue live monitoring of court judgment in Nnamdi Kanu's trial.